Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In any conference, I think the most difficult session is the post-lunch session. So it will be our endeavor to make sure that we make this discussion interesting for you all. For the last 2 days, we've had different discussions on different issues. There have been discussions on transnational trade. There have been discussions on geopolitics of energy. We've just heard in the last session something about issues relating to PPP, distribution reforms, sanctity of contracts. And during these discussions, there have been references to renewables and solar energy. And I think once we talk about the energy security of the country, the reference to renewables is very important. And I think it's only recent that the renewable energy has been really been discussed and thought of in terms of mainstreaming. Till such time, we were only talking about pilots. Even the government of India was talking only in terms of kilowatts. But thanks to the new policy, we are already seeing capacity addition in renewables in megawatts, and the targets are now being discussed in gigawatts as well. So the mainstreaming really has started at the government of India level as well. But I think what's important for us is to really look at some of the key issues. And during discussions, it was mentioned, a member from the audience really raised this very important issue about how we must ensure that we do not do with the renewable energy, especially the solar energy sector, what we did for the telecom. And I think that's very, very important issue in terms of when we are looking at promoting domestic manufacture of solar equipment and other renewable energy equipment, as well as making sure that enough renewable energy capacity is actually put up in the country. As of now, I think the total capacity, if you talk in terms of mix, is just about 12 to 13%, give or take a few megawatts here and there. So, and I think if you look at some of the states, probably the percentage would be much lower. And even the state that I come from, Punjab, we only have about 5 to 6% of renewable energy in our energy mix. And but for the regulators and their insistence on RP obligations, probably the focus on renewables would not have been so much coming from the traditional power industry. I think it's important for us to look at renewables, especially if you see what is happening to the power generation from the fossil fuels. Talking about gas, I think gas issues relating to gas would probably take another conference like this. The kind of issues that are related to gas production and using gas as a fuel. But even for coal, for a state like Punjab, I know, how difficult it has been for us to handle all issues relating to coal even this summer. Starting from mining, coal linkages, transportation, and even the tariff, even the pricing of coal and the use of imported coal in the mix with Coal India Limited, really, raising its hand saying that it's not able to provide the linkage that it is supposed to. So I think what it really forces us is to look at renewables in a very, very serious fashion, because hydro again, the high capital expenditure, initial capital expenditure, the issues relating to environment, and what all happened in Uttarakhand and last year, and subsequently the intervention of the courts really has made that sector also something that probably is a cause of worry for us. I believe there is a session which looks at issues relating to hydropower following this one. And so without going into the issue relating to hydropower in detail here, I would stick to the renewables. Nuclear energy was talked of, but I think it's a far cry, a lot of issues coming up. But I think when you talk about renewables, wind energy is something that has really increased the share of renewables in the energy mix. 2/3 of the current renewable energy is coming from wind, and about 9 to 10% I think comes from solar. But wind, of course, is a limited corridor. Whether it is Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, or the coastal states, except that the states in the north and the central part of India are really not able to exploit wind as a source of renewables. So what is left is for them solar and biomass. Biomass really has its own problems. I mean, although we in Punjab would be very happy to look at biomass as a source of energy, but issues relating to technology, issues relating to pricing, tariff, I think they are still, they have not been able to really give a big push to the biomass sector, although a lot of potential exists in this sector. So probably there's an issue for the regulators to think at, especially when you look at different kinds of fuels. Biomass as a mixed fuel, if you use it, probably technology exists. But if you talk about paddy straw, especially in areas which produce a lot of paddy, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, then I think there is a case for looking at paddy straw, based biomass plants and a separate tariff for them. Because unless you incentivize them enough to pump in more money into technology, the issues relating to technology remain because the PLF is really low. That does not make that project viable enough. Solar, I think, really is something that has really caught the attention of most of the states, and there's a lot of interest in the private sector as well. And I think if you, the great advantage of that solar gives us, both the fact that it can be, the solar projects can be grid connected or off grid, that's a wonderful thing for us, because in areas which are far-flung, desert, hilly areas, where setting up a T&D traditional network would probably not make, get the utilities interested. The off-grid and the decentralized generation is something that we really need to look at. But issues relating to initial investment, issues relating to pricing, those are some of the things that probably, the other members on the panel that I have, I'm sure they would be, who are from the private sector, would really be flagging also. But I think those are some of the points that need to be discussed. We have been talking about solar and how solar can also be used as a means of providing employment. I mean, there was a comment that one heard in the morning session. And I just recall that I was once doing a project as a tribal development project in Orissa. And as part of the tribal development project, we had distributed solar lanterns. I mean, those villages were really forest villages, tribal areas. But what we also did was that we trained self-help groups, women self-help groups, into repairing of those lanterns. Because else what you would find is, suppose after 4 to 6 months, 7 months, there is a small defect, DAG, that comes into the solar lanterns, it would just be thrown away. So what we did was we got in touch with NIRD, Hyderabad, and we got those women to be trained. And I think that really was something that allowed the solar lanterns to stay in those areas. I mean, one followed it up after a year or two. So I think solar as a source of energy, and of course, I mean, it's free. Once you set it up, by and large, the costs that are involved in running a solar power plant are almost negligible. As I mentioned, in terms of mainstreaming, Government of India, it's only about 5 years back that we really got Government of India's focus with the Jawaharlal Nehru solar mission coming in. And it's heartening to see that the Government of India has also come out with innovative ideas, innovative programs to get private sector interested through either by a means of bundled power or with VGF. And I think that is one of the reasons why we have seen a quantum jump in the development of the solar energy in the country. And the recent emphasis that this sector has got in the budget, the last budget speech of the finance minister, I think underlines the commitment of this new government to renewable energy. And in the morning, we heard the energy convener of the BJP also talking about how as a party they wish to push through the Gujarat model. States have also followed up. Gujarat, of course, has been a pioneer in using solar energy, developing solar parks, followed by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. We in Punjab have done something about it. We were just about 2 megawatts in 2012. And today, as I talk to you, we have 250 megawatts of projects under development. So that's the kind of push that the states are giving. And we in Punjab came out with a policy in October 2012 to incentivize, putting up of solar power projects. But I think what we also need to understand is that there are certain issues that come out with this, with the development of this solar energy and putting up solar projects. And in Gujarat also, I think tariff was one big issue. And probably when they went out with this approach, the tariffs that were set were probably on the higher side. And then, of course, people wanted to renegotiate them, and that brings us to the whole issue of sanctity of contracts that we discussed yesterday. Government of India, of course, is also looking at the National Green Corridor, looking at Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, because evacuation of the solar power is a key issue. Because in states like Punjab, where land is where land is very, very important. I mean, every single inch of land in Punjab is devoted to agriculture. So if you want to have ground-based solar power projects, where do you get them? And land is prohibitively expensive. That pushes up tariffs for us. So I think what we really need to look at is, we need to look at areas as if Punjab or some other states can set up projects in states that have land available for such projects. Their evacuation, their transmission should be in a manner that allows the tariffs to be reasonable in that particular band. But apart from that, we in Punjab have also been looking at some other innovative ideas. Of course, rooftops is one. We believe that within Punjab, we have about 500 megawatts of potential for rooftop itself. And I'm happy to share with you that in April this year, we were able to commission what I'm told is certainly the largest single roof solar PV project in the country of 7.5 megawatt. I mean, it's on a single roof. And we hope to double its capacity within the next 1 year. Again, it's on the same single roof. I mean, we are lucky to have one such structure available. But another thing is that we have is about the canals. And we all have heard about the pilot project that Gujarat had, the 1 megawatt project, but its initial costs are prohibitively expensive. I think here is a challenge for the engineering community. The cost of structures that are used to mount the panels needs to be brought down in a manner that makes projects such as that viable. In Punjab, we have 5,000 kilometers of canal tops available, and even if we were to use about 10% of that area, probably we are looking at a potential of about 1,000 megawatts. Now, that would be possible only if we are able to bring down the costs of erecting those structures. Fortunately, I mean, we have our engineering, the irrigation department on board, even to use those canals by erecting some support systems within the canal if required. But people are already talking about floats on big lakes. People are already talking about canal tops. So I think these are areas where the private developers really need to look at. They are areas where we can possibly mount solar panels, so that the constraint that we feel, that we find in some of the states about land does not exist. And I mean, if there are friends from Government of India here, what I would suggest to them is that when you're talking about the National Green Corridor, please look at the corridor from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. I mean, why are you leaving out Punjab? We in Punjab really have one of the best T&D infrastructure. And if you're going to set up an ultra mega solar power project in Ladakh, I think it makes sense for you to have right from J&K down to Karnataka or Tamil Nadu as one single corridor for this, the National Green Corridor, so that power can be evacuated, this green power can be evacuated all through. Financing has already also been talked of, and I mean, I think the financial institutions which already were running away from the power sector in general need to be really motivated to get into the renewables. We have tried to do that whenever we have had an opportunity in Punjab to get all the parties together to assure that the utility, because ultimately the key is that the financial institutions are looking at the ultimate buyer and its financial strength. Now, if the utility is strong, if the utility is in a position to assure a payment of the power that is supplied by the solar project developer, I think that's the key. That is what the bank or the financial institution is looking at. Finally, I think what I would say is that if for any solar, for the big push that needs to come in the solar sector or biomass or probably the wind, I'm sorry I'm not able to touch too much on wind, because I'll leave that to my colleague on the panel. because we really don't have much experience about wind energy in Punjab. The potential is really zero. But I think for other renewables, it's high time that the states really focus on every available renewable energy source. If it's solar, if it's wind, if it's tidal, if it's biomass, I think that should be on the radar of every state. And apart from the RP obligations that the utilities have to fulfill, I think what we should be looking at as a policy planner is to really look at having green energy to the extent that we can, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels. People talked about high import bills in one of the earlier sessions, importing gas, issues relating to fossil fuels, transporting fossil fuels, mining issues, and I think these are very, very important points when we talk about mainstreaming renewable energy. Thank you so much. I would now request my co-panelist, Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi, to kindly share his views with you. Whereafter we'll first have all the panelists making their comments, and then thereafter we'll take all the questions. Thank you.